So hello guys, myself Sufalam Technologies and I am a senior software developer at Sufalam Technologies Private Limited. Today we are here to discuss about the Node.js version 20 new releases. So as you know that Node.js is a asynchronous event-driven JavaScript runtime and Node.js is designed to build the scalable network applications. The recent release Node.js version 20 was last released on 18th April 2023 and it becomes the current release. So here you can see these are the major features released in the Node.js latest version, which is Node.js version 20. So let's discuss the releases one by one. So the first one is the experimental permission model. So this is the new feature or release you can say introduced by the Node.js in the latest version. The Node.js permission model is the experimental mechanism for restricting to access the specific resources during the execution. In the previous versions, you can see you can directly access the file systems through your Node.js code. But in the latest version, this feature has been introduced to restrict the access to directly access the files. So here are some keywords to allow the file system and other processes. So the first restriction is the file system restriction. You can use the allow fs read and fs write parameters while executing the node project to allow the file system to read the file or write the file. The second restriction is the allow child processes. To access the child processes in Node.js, you have to allow that child process to execute and access that child process. The third one restriction is the allow worker threads. The Node.js is work on multiple worker threads. So you have to allow the things to allow the worker threads for processing. The available permissions are documented by the experimental permission flag. So let's discuss the thing deeply. So here you can see the file system permission. The Node.js allows file system permission by Node FS module enables the interaction with the file system in a way to model on standard POSIX functions. So here you can see the example. The example is try to read the file from the readfile.js file. So the code explains that the hello world.txt file is there and the code is try to read the file and console that data directly. So here you can see the output that readfile.js outputs the hello world content. So you can see with the flag of experimental permission while executing the node project, it will restrict the file directly to read the file. So here you can see we executed the project by node experimental permission readfile.js. That means it's restricted the file to read directly. So here you can see the error comes that access to the API has been restricted. That means it restrict the file to directly read. So to access the file with experimental permission, you have to set the flags. To read, you have to pass the allow fs read to tell Node.js that we have allowed to read that file. And for writing purpose, you have to allow fs write flag while passing the experimental permission. Here is the perfect example with the flags of allow, read and write flags. So here you can see, after giving the permission with node experimental permission, allow file system to read, and the file name in which the code has been written. So here you can see, with the permission, it reads the file and console that output, hello world. So here you pass the permission to write. In the previous versions, we directly read the file and output or processing the thing, but in the Node.js version 20, with experimental permission, you restrict the file to read or write, and after allowing them by a flag, it will allow you to read or write the files in your code execution. Also, the Node.js 20 version also provide you the functions to check the file read or write or permission is provided or not. So here is the functions that process.permission has file to read or write, file to read on the specific path. So here are the functions that will check on runtime that the file permission is there or not. Otherwise, it will directly throw the error that the permission is not there. So to overcome that kind of error, you just have to validate before the file read or write permissions and execution. So the next release is stable test runner. So this is the new feature or release introduced by the Node.js in version 20. So here you can see the stable test runner. That means in Node.js, you can write now the unit test cases directly in the Node.js. Previously, we used other test cases, modules or software to write the unit test cases, but in Node.js version 20, now it's introduced to directly run the test cases in Node.js side, and it will handle the errors and processes and all the things test cases in the Node.js side as well. Using the node :test, you can import the test, import, and then process further with the test cases. It will not work with the only test keyword. You have to compulsory work with node :test. So here you can see the example I have covered, that we have imported the node test module and the assert module. Here is the function that validate the cell number with basic validations. That cell number length would be not 10, cell number not starting with the plus sign, and the cell number all the characters are in the digit one. And here you can see we have written the test case that the cell number is validate or not. So in that we pass the validate cell number function with the cell number, example like 15555, and it will return true or false as per the validation, and the expected value, that what comes after the output of that function execution. So we want true, that the cell number should be validated. So here you can see the output of the test case run. So the test case provide you the output like this, that the test case is executed successfully or not, or multiple test cases. You it will provide you one by one that this test cases is fail, this test cases is success or not. And here is the summary of all the scenarios, that 2 tests are there, 1 is pass, 1 is fail, and what are the total duration to execute the test case. So this is the test case feature that Node introduced in the Node.js version 20. So, for further releases and features, we will consider in the next video.